The past few years for Chris Chan have clearly seen him fall downhill very fast, especially with the recent events that have occurred. What is the turning point of Chris's story? What made him like this? Obviously, there is no definitive answer to this question, as all parts would play a role in what has happened. But the major point of Chris's life will be looked at to see if any played a much larger role.
And I just won.
The first place to start is with Chris's childhood, seeing if this was somewhat inevitable no matter what. Chris's childhood was strange, with Bob and Bob spoiling him early on due to him being a mute, trying to coax him into speaking. This spoiling continued throughout his childhood, and even into his adulthood through himself and his tugboat. Further to this, Chris was very lonely, and was likely being bullied at a young age by a perceived friend, with the other friends he thought he had being people that Bob had paid to hang around with him, showing that Chris was a very lonely person. However, the problems that arise with this thought is that Barbara, and more specifically Bob's children, have been far more successful, with seemingly normal lives. Cwcki is perhaps somewhat an exception, however, in comparison to Chris, he is far more normal and successful.
My name is not Ian Brandon something!
The trolls have been and still are a big part of Chris's life, with the early years of Chris's online history being rampant with trolling. The original ED trolling, where Chris revealed that she came for Cwcki to be Megan, ruined possibly his one and only true friendship. The trolling by Cwcki, whilst it being clear to everyone but Chris that he wouldn't do anything, made Chris extremely anxious and fearful, with Chris at one point making a fake version of himself, using a doll and putting that in his bed, so Clyde would kill that instead of him. Blue Spike's trolling with Chris was a complete humiliation, with most people who were interested in Chris believing that this was too far. The Aspetu saga and the Liquid Chris saga did a similar thing to Chris, with them humiliating him by being far better than him whilst directly competing with him. This was made worse with Cwcki, an actual woman that went to the better imposter Chris.
So you go get that goddamn stuff off of there and fast.
A drastic change in Chris occurred around the time of Bob's death. Before he passed away, the Tom Girl saga began, where Chris began acting and dressing more feminine. This was further explored by Chris after Bob's passing, becoming a transgender lesbian. Also, with the time of Bob's death, the trolls mostly backed off, with Chris being left to his own devices, especially since Bob could no longer tell him what to do, making his hints of normality mostly fade away, making Chris even more of a notable figure in public. It could be seen that without trolls and Bob steering Chris into the real world and normality, that Chris could have tunneled himself further into his fantasies, a problem that could have been heavily furthered by the idea guys. It is very clear to everybody interested in Chris that the idea guys have had a severe negative effect on Chris's mental health. However, this seems to just be with Chris's delusions. The GameStop incident happened before the idea guys had an effect on Chris, as well as Chris's numerous other crimes and other actions. Further to this, with the recent call regarding Chris's mother, Chris's delusions did not seem to be at the forefront or any part of the situation, with Chris fully admitting that it was him doing it with his own mother, with his own command. Was Chris doomed from the start? Was it from the terrorization from the trolls? Or was it the loss of his father that led to these events? Or was it the idea guys that had the most effect on Chris's health?